Welcome to Brianna's world, your favorite internet girl. Brianna's world, Brianna's world. Welcome to her world. Welcome to Brianna's world.
Hi YouTube, welcome back to Cozy Corner of the Internet. I am finally taking the time to deep dive how I got started in the social media industry and how that led me to be self-employed at 23 years old. A really big part of my story is being delulu. Being delulu can get you a very far way in a lot of different avenues of your life, but specifically your career, and more specifically your career in the social media industry. Let's get into it. Now, when I say I was being delusional, I mean when I was in college, I told myself that I wanted to get a job within the social media industry before I graduated. Typically, the approach is you're in school, you take on some unpaid internships. Hopefully they're paid, but most likely they're not. And by the time that you do graduate, you have some experience under your belt and brands would love to hire you. I was not able to take this approach. I have been self-sufficient since I was 16 years old, so taking anything unpaid while I had bills to pay just was not an option. And this mindset of being delulu and kind of shooting for the stars early on completely shaped how my experience went within this industry. Let's go back to the very beginning. I went to school at FITM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I was studying merchandising and marketing. I specifically chose something where I kind of had an option. I love clothes, I love fashion, so I'm like, okay, good to know there's always a merchandising side of my degree, but I was always leaning towards the marketing side. I didn't know where exactly I wanted to land in marketing, but I just knew that's where I wanted to be. While I was in college, I'm pretty sure I was still working my high school job, which was Nothing Bundt Cakes. If you know, you know. I still love Nothing Bundt Cakes, guys. I still love them. But I was still working at that job as I was first getting into college. And my mindset quickly changed. I'm like, okay, I need to have some experience on my resume so that when I do graduate, I don't even have to worry about anything. My school, FITM, had a portal where college students can find jobs just within this portal of like vetted brands and founders. I was applying for everything, and I mean everything, and somehow I landed my first role within the social media industry, I would say 1 year into being a college student. I started working at a company called Next Stop, which is a sustainable clothing company. It was completely remote. I was doing social media coordinating and content creation. I was doing social media engagement, building out calendars, helping with blogs, helping with their website, helping them with creative direction. I was helping with shoots if needed. It was a little bit of everything. And I will say working at any startup is great experience if you are ever looking to get in the social media industry and you can work with a startup or a founder-led brand. I would highly recommend it. It is the most hands-on experience that you'll get. Typically at startups, they need help with everything. It's a very small team, probably no more than 10 people at a startup. And there's so many things that need to be done when you start a business and launching it and scaling it. And so you kind of get to try so many things that maybe you were interested in or just want to see if you like it or not. And that was a big part of my role at Next Stop, was just trying a little bit of everything till I kind of figured out where I wanted to be. It's something about myself. I love having multiple streams of income. I love having multiple jobs. I love having multiple clients. Now I'm in this point of life where I have my part-time job with Next Stop. I have my part-time job with Nothing Bundt Cakes still, and I still wanted more. I've noticed this about myself. I'm never satisfied with just one. I have to have more. If I can have 2 jobs, why can't I have 3? If I can have 3, why can't I have 4? Like, tell me why. And so I was applying to more jobs. And let me just say, being delulu, again, gets you so far. I was applying to jobs that I knew I had no experience with. I mean, I remember I even applied for a job for Tesla to help with their marketing. I think I was 19 years old at the time. I had no experience. I wasn't even graduated yet. Shooting your shot, the worst thing that they're going to say is no. The worst thing that they're going to say or not say is just not respond. The worst possible answer that you can get from shooting your shot is no. And we're used to hearing no all the time. So why not? So I was applying to absolutely everything, and I applied for a brand manager position at Versed Skincare. Did not have experience with this either. Sent in my application, got an interview. I had a great interview. I had a great conversation. I was able to describe what I was doing, and she was really excited about it. I unfortunately did not get that job because obviously I did not have enough experience. But a few weeks later, I got an email from the same woman who interviewed me, and she was like, hey, we have a community manager position open. I know you have experience with community management. If you're open for it, we'd love to bring you on. Responded to that email in a millisecond. I mean, a millisecond. And I would say within 48 hours, I was first community manager. And I could talk about this role for literal hours. This role completely shaped my career. It completely shaped my career, and I'm forever grateful for Dana. I don't even know if she's here. I'm forever grateful for her for giving me a chance because, again, it completely shaped my career. I'm not sure how well versed you guys are with Verse skincare, but if you ever tagged Verse in a photo, a video, if you ever sent a DM, if you ever left a comment within the past 3 years, from 2022 to 2025, that was me. I was their full-on community manager. There was no other community managers there. I answered every single inquiry, forward-facing, public-facing, not public-facing. I was a community manager, and it was great. This job saw me through so many different seasons of life, living still at home, getting my first apartment, moving to Texas, moving to Washington. It was with me wherever I went, and I'm just still so grateful for that job. Now let's paint the picture again. At this point, I have graduated from college. I now moved into my first apartment. I had my job with Next Stop. I had my job with Versed. And the first few weeks that I got into my first apartment was when I started applying again. I applied for a role for a content creator position at Forever Mood. I submitted my application. Then I got an interview with their social media manager. Then I got a second round of interviews with more members of the team, including one of the co-founders of the brand, Dennis. And it was just really cool to be in their orbit. I really appreciate interviews, just being able to be face to face, even remotely or in person, with someone to share your experience and have them share their experience and more about the brand. It's just like, it's a learning opportunity. Even if you don't get the job, being able to just sit down and chat with someone at that level is such a big opportunity. So I was just digesting it all. I was just grateful. I remember after that interview, I had to do a content creator project. I had to kind of create an idea, bring it to life, edit it, add music, basic stuff. And I got the job. So moving into my first apartment, I had a job with Next Stop, I had a job with Verse, and I had a job with Forever Mood. I didn't know that much about contracts or what to put in contracts or ways to protect myself. So I noticed really on in my career that if a brand did not need my help anymore, a contract would just end. And that's normal. It's normal with freelancing, but I never was given too much of a heads up. So I would say a month into me living alone is when my contract with Next Stop ended. And what's beautiful about freelancing is this ability to have multiple streams of income. When this contract did end, it wasn't the end of the world for me because I had 2 other clients. And I could do a whole other video on what I think the pros and cons are of being a freelancer versus full-time employee. That honestly is a whole other video. But that was a really big portion of being a freelancer, was this fear that your contract was going to end and you were no longer going to be able to make money. I juggled my job with Versed and Forever Mood for a good 6 to 8 months, I'd say. I had this little thought in my brain that I was going to be moving out of state, but I did not really let myself indulge in that. In December of 2022, my contract with Forever Mood ended, and this is kind of when it got a little bit scarier in my career. I was only relying on my income from Verse Skincare. And mind you, I was living alone in my first apartment in Los Angeles, California, Tarzana to be exact, paying for all of my bills, sustaining myself, and it was extremely scary. If you were born and raised in California, specifically Los Angeles, specifically the Valley, you know how expensive rent is, and the fact that I was doing that on my own at 20, I will always pat myself on the back for that. I will always pat myself on the back for it. Was that apartment the nicest apartment in the world? No. Was it a home? Yes. And I would never disrespect that apartment because it helped me blossom. I had so many fun experiences in that apartment, so many sad moments. I remember it was a really daunting period of my career. I was like, oh my gosh, I only have one job. Will this make it? It won't. I need to get another job. And I do want to put this out there because I think I kind of messed up this timeline a little bit. I have always felt so blessed with the opportunities that I've been given. I really feel like there's like a little guardian angel around me at all times, because when one door has closed, another door has always opened for me within such a short amount of time. So I need to go back just a little bit. During my last month at Forever Mood, I was scrolling on Instagram and Cami Crawford had posted that she needed a social media manager for her podcast. Somehow I saw this story within like 2 minutes of being posted. So I'm pretty sure I was part of the first like 10 people to respond to that story. I remember I sent my name, I sent my email. I immediately got a response back. I got an interview set up and I interviewed with Cami Crawford herself. This position, I was intending for it to be a social media manager position, but it kind of was a social media manager and personal assistant position, which I would never ever do again. Those are two different roles with two different salaries, not one. But I was still really excited and really eager. So I had that interview a few weeks before my contract with Forever Mood ended. Then it ended, then I only had one job, super daunting. I remember I had one full week of being like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? At the end of that first week is when I got an email saying, hey, congratulations, we're giving you this opportunity to be the social media manager, la 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 la. Craziness. I was so blessed. I was so grateful that this fell into my lap. And I was also very excited. I loved Cami Crawford. I listened to her podcast. I fell in love with her like a lot of us did watching Catfish and just seeing like a woman of color on the show, shooting the shit. It's just the best. So at this job with Cami, I was mainly helping with her podcast. I would be answering emails. I would be booking talent, booking podcast spaces, being there while the podcast was actually being filmed. I would then go home and edit short form, long form content. I was posting long form content for YouTube, short form content for Instagram and TikTok. It was so much editing. I have never edited so many long form videos in my life. It was taking these long 2.5 hour clips of footage, bringing it down, editing it, adding the microphone footage, making sure that timed out, creating cover photos, then taking that and diluting it to smaller portions to post. It was just so much editing. And then on top of that, I was still her personal assistant. So I was going and picking up PR packages, taking pictures of the packages she received, answering back to collaboration inquiries, still being a community manager on her Instagram. It was a fully loaded job. I would say it was a personal assistant, social media editor, and community manager role all in one for a salary of one. Again, I will never do that again. That job taught me a lot. I was also able to work with a lot of cool celebrities and YouTubers and TikTokers that I was already watching. So that was a really big plus of the job. But it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And again, I did not intend for it to be a personal assistant position, but I was in no right and in no mind to say no to a job like that. So I took it and I'm still so grateful. Now, in this point in my career, I felt a calling to move out of state. My partner and I were a long distance, and I was already kind of getting sick of that. But on top of that, I had mentioned that I was living alone in California, super expensive. And I'm like, okay, I have so many dreams and goals in my life, and I feel like they won't be able to happen as quickly as I'd like living in California. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to save a lot of money. I wanted to travel more. Of course, be with my partner. I had gotten a dog and I just felt like I just wasn't living my life to the fullest potential. And I just felt like I was in like this weird cycle of like work and like friends would invite me out and I didn't want to hang out because I was working. I also didn't want to go out because it's just spending money. And I feel like California, it's just such a cycle of just like go, 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 spend, spend, spend. And I just wanted to relax, relax, relax. Homebody, 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 no spend, no spend, no spend. You know what I'm saying? So in April of 2023, I moved to Texas, which means I had to end my role with Forever Mood. I felt like it kind of timed out because I was already getting burnt out for a job I didn't even have for a full year. That should say enough. And I moved to Texas with my only role being Versed. Again, Versed was with me through so many different stages of life. It was a constant, and I was just so grateful to be able to evolve with my job. But of course, it was still a very scary period because I'm like, okay, I'm going to Texas. What's in Texas? I'd have to work in Austin. I'd have to maybe find like a hybrid position. What brands would want me if I was remote? It was kind of scary, But I did not have any ill feelings to moving to Texas. I think a really big part of knowing yourself and also a really big part of being in this career is trusting your gut. If you applied for a job and you are getting bubble guts, it's probably not good for you. If you just got off an interview and you're feeling bubble guts, it is probably not for you, and that's okay. Your body will tell you exactly where you're meant to be, exactly who you're supposed to work with, exactly who you're meant to be with, the whole 9 yards. And so me thinking and planning to move to Texas, I only felt feelings of excitement around it. I would say like up until the very last 24 hours is when I started to feel nervous. And that was just because I was standing in my first apartment that was completely empty with my car packed. I had sold everything. I had quit my job. I was leaving my family, my friends that I've known my whole life to move to Texas with my boyfriend that I've only known for 8 months. I only felt that fear the last 24 hours, but I was still so excited to take this leap. About 3 to 4 months into me living in Texas, I finally started to apply for jobs again. I really wanted that full-time position within the social media industry. With me having 2 contracts end the year previous, I'm like, okay, I need some stability. So I went into full-time work. I eventually got my first full-time job at Care, which is a hair care brand. So we're kind of pivoting. We're still in social media, but I've been kind of used to being in skincare and fragrance at this time. And now we're adding in hair care. I was their social media coordinator for a year. I was helping execute and deliver content. I was helping with influencer management, managing about 25 influencers, getting viral videos out of that. I help with community management, social media management, just a little bit of everything within the social media space. And I love that job. I love that team. It's been so good for my nervous system. It's just been such a fun and exciting team to work with. Super chill, super low lift. And it was just awesome for my first full-time job. Within a year of me working at Care, I got transitioned to their sister brand. Sister brand just means they own it as well. I moved to their sister brand as I am, and I was doing more social media management. I was still doing the same kind of tasks that I was doing at Care, just at a higher magnitude. It was their largest sister brand, so everything kind of doubled. I started managing 50 plus influencers. I was posting content. I was doing community management, social media management. I was traveling for work, going to different hair conventions, and it was great. I did hit a point within that role where I was like, okay, if I got fired, would I feel super confident running into my next role? And I didn't. And there's nothing wrong with being at a job where you get so good at it, it feels normal. But I knew that I wanted a push. I knew that I wanted to learn something. I knew I needed more experience in certain areas. And a really big part of my career that was missing was agency work. Whenever I applied to a job on LinkedIn, it would be like, hey, have you worked at an agency? And I would always click no. I wanted to be able to click yes. So I shot my shot on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm going to say it again. I shot my shot on LinkedIn. This agency that I had interviewed with twice, I did not get the job. They had posted something on LinkedIn about why you should work at this agency. I commented, I'm like, hey, would love the chance. I can't wait to get my chance. And I got a message back within 12 hours. And I started to freelance on the weekends for this agency. My very first client at this agency was Kiehl's, which so huge. Love the Kiehl's team, the sweetest team. And I actually love their products. I've been able to try so many since I was doing CM for them, and I swear by them. Eventually, I got offered a full-time position after just a few weeks of doing weekend CM. And at this point, I was a full-time community manager. I had finally made it to a full-time community manager position. I was so excited. I was still working with Verse at the time. So I'm like, awesome. I get to spend my days only doing CM. It's a dream. It was a dream. My clients at this agency were Bare Minerals, Laura Mercier, Cali Ray, Palmer's, and Kiehl's. The first 90 days were the biggest learning curve of my career. I was working so much. I was so overwhelmed. It was so much information to take in. There were so many brands to learn. When I was onboarding, they were also onboarding my clients. And so I didn't get to jump into something that was already ironed out. I jumped into something that needed to be ironed out. And it was overwhelming to say the least, but it completely shaped kind of how I work with brands, how I work with clients, and my communication. And I am grateful for that. Very early on, I knew I only wanted to be here for a year. I wanted the experience. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be here for 365 days. And then I'm going to find something else. And this is another tidbit about myself. I'm always looking for something else. I'm always trying to figure out ways for me to grow within my career. If that means going to a new job, if that means changing positions, I always want to get better at my craft. It could be a pro and a con at times, but I am grateful that I took these leaps of faith when I could, because again, it has got me to where I am today. Although this agency role taught me so much, it also taught me what I did not want in a job, what I did not want in leadership, what I did not want in management. It taught me everything I did not want in a job. And I knew that I was being put in this position for a reason, and it was to tell me everything that I did not want to do going forward. So I started just having conversations with people that I loved, and friends and family and old coworkers and new coworkers, and trying to figure out if I should stay being a freelancer, if I should find a new full-time job. And a lot of people were pushing me to get back into freelancing. So I took my latest leap of faith, and as of December 19th of 2025, I ended my job at that agency, and I also had 3 clients lined up, which at that moment, it just felt like a breath of fresh air. It just felt like it was exactly what I was meant to be doing at that time. I had mentioned earlier in this video that I just have always felt like there's a guardian angel around me that's just like helping me and always opening a door when one closes. And going into 2026, I was just so excited to be self-employed. So all of that helped me evolve to Homebody Social. I launched Homebody Social in the beginning of 2026. And I'm just so grateful that I started 2026 with such a healthy mindset, such wonderful clients, and this freedom that has allowed me to evolve and see what I'm really interested in doing, and meeting new people, and having this freedom to go out and like network. And it's just been a really awesome experience. So here at Homebody Social, I help with various different things such as social media strategy, social media management, community management, influencer management, UGC, and customer service. And it's obviously a little bit of everything. I am taking 2026 to use this as my pilot year. I don't know exactly what I want to offer. Maybe I don't want to offer all these services. Maybe I just want to do influencer management. I'm not sure. So again, I'm taking 2026 as a pilot year. I hope that in 2027 I can like niche down and really figure out what I love doing, and also kind of get a little bit better with my branding, because we're kind of all over the place right now. And I'm really trying to give myself the grace, because I've only been self-employed for 3 months, and I think I'm expecting for everything to be all laid out for me, and that's just not realistic. It's been really nice to see my days and see that I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything, and I think that's what I needed. Doing a job that is repetitive every single day, you just lose so much of yourself and you create a freedom. And it's just really been nice to dabble in a little bit of everything every single day. It keeps me going. And it's always wonderful to sit down and look back and see how your pivots in your career, how your leaps of faith, how your failures have led you to the exact moment that you are now. I would not have thought to launch Homebody Social if I didn't get a specific client, if I didn't meet specific people. I just wouldn't be here today. And I'm just grateful for every single person that I've had a conversation with, because they've all kind of mentored me to this position in my career. And I can't stop saying how grateful I am. It's just like the theme. I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. And besides all the people that mentored me through the way, being delulu has helped. Apply for jobs that you know you can't get. Talk to people that maybe you're too afraid to talk to. Enter rooms with confidence that maybe you shouldn't be in. Being delulu can get you such a far way. And I'm seeing so much of this conversation on the internet. Like, we all have to be a little bit delulu, and it helps us with so many different areas of life. And being delusional can also coincide with being confident. Okay. Like, I feel like the word delusional could maybe have like a negative connotation, but for me, it's just shooting your shot when you don't know where something's going to land. Just taking that leap of faith is me being delusional. People can have a different definition of that, but that's just how I take it. And, I believe that I could have a career in an industry that I never had experience in. And now I'm 5 years in, and I'm like, what else? Like, what else can we do? How else can we evolve? And I know that having that mindset really early on, like, I just want to be in places that I shouldn't be allowed, it's just why I'm doing Homebody Social today. It's just why everything has aligned. And I do get in my head a lot about things that I still should be doing, the money that I should be making, the brands that I should be working with. But I do have to bring myself back down to earth at least once a quarter and remind myself that I'm 23. If you guys do not know, I am 23 years old. I am turning 24 next month, but I'm 23. My frontal lobe hasn't developed and I'm self-employed. What else do I have to say? It's just been crazy around here. I would love to get the chance to talk to any of you guys that are interested in starting in the social media industry, whether that just be content creation or UGC. I'm here to chat. I'm going to leave my website down below where you can book a virtual chit chat with me. I'll also leave my email. I'll leave my Instagram. You guys can leave DMs, send me messages. I'm down for it all. I love networking. I love meeting new people. I love chatting with new people. And so if you ever have any questions, I am here to help and guide you through it. If there's any other topics you'd like me to discuss, I am happy to chat about it. But this industry is a very special place to be. It's a very small industry, even though it seems large. But we can make room. We can make room for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next week.